Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. What we're going to be talking about today is some realistic expectations that you guys should have, especially as beginner coders, especially as people that are just starting off on their journey on learning how to code, because one of the worst things you can do when you start off is to have these crazy expectations that you're going to be working, as a professional software engineer in a couple of months, or that, within a couple of months you'll be able to build the new Facebook, the new Airbnb, and like a multi-million dollar business, you know what I mean? So if you have these expectations within the first couple of months, the only thing that's going to happen is that you're going to get discouraged, and then you're going to be less likely to be successful at learning how to code. So what I want to do today is talk to you guys, tell you guys what you should realistically expect, how long it should realistically take you. And you might call me a pessimist, but I really think that it's important to be realistic and important to acknowledge that it's a very long journey and that it will take time and it will take a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifices as well. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. We've had a ton of new subscribers recently. What we do here is we talk about a high level overview of what being a software engineer is, and I try to give you guys as many tips as I can to successfully become a software engineer, whether you're a student, going through college right now, or whether you're, a bit older and you're trying to switch career paths. I try to do my best to make your job as easy as possible. So if you'd like the content, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. So one of the biggest reasons people fail, right, is because they take on way too much, way too quick, and they get overwhelmed. And then they end up thinking that they're not good enough and that they can't become a software engineer, and they give up, right? This is what we want to avoid, guys. This is the number one worst scenario possible, right? This cannot happen to you, and it won't happen to you if you follow the advice that's in this video. So guys, a lot of people come into this with the expectation that they'll have a job within a couple of months, or, in a couple of months, they'll be able to build Facebook. Like I said before, right? This is unrealistic. Even though, with some boot camps, right, they market it as you go for a couple of months to a boot camp, it's full-time, you learn how to code, and then when you're done, you can get a job, right? Of course, it's been true in the past, right? Historically, people go to boot camps and then get jobs right after, even if beforehand they didn't know how to code at all. So honestly, there's some truth to it. Maybe for some people, it's only going to take you a couple months. But if you don't have, like $20,000 to give to a boot camp, and, you're trying to teach yourself, it's going to be a bit different. And, let's just accept the fact that it's going to be a bit harder because it's all based on your self-discipline and not going to a boot camp, right? So I would say the most realistic scenario is if you're starting to code, give yourself, 6 at the least to 12 months to, be in a good spot, to get a job, to start interviewing, and to really make that push to become a professional software engineer. Some people may take less, some people may take a lot more, but I think around that is a good benchmark for if you're consistent, if you're constantly working, getting better, studying, working on side projects, then it should take around 6 to 12 months for you to be in a good spot to get a job. Right. This is right. Again, this is assuming that, you're doing everything properly and you're making the sacrifices and you're staying consistent and you're staying committed. So like I said before, right, some boot camps are 3 to 6 months, let's say, and then you spend a couple of months getting, building side projects or practicing for your technical interviews. So even in the case where you're in a boot camp, I would say 6 to 12 months is also probably the most realistic. So when you're working on these side projects, let's say you've taken a couple of lectures, you've gone to a boot camp for a couple of days, or you've taken some tutorials online, you want to start coding. You actually want to start applying the stuff that you're learning in class. So what you want to do is you want to start small, and you want to start with some very simple, very small side projects. Right, guys, I've talked about this on my channel before tons of times. Project-based learning, it's amazing. So yeah, you start small. Let's say you build a very small project. It takes you 2 weeks, and you say, okay, fine, I'm going to build this. And then the next 2 weeks after that, I'm going to build something more, something a bit more complex, but also super simple. So you follow this kind of pattern. You slowly build up, you slowly spend some time, and you build some projects. And then eventually you get to some more complex projects that, you can either put on your resume, or you can talk about during an interview, or even, it can get so complex and like, it can be a really good product that, you make some money off of it as a side hustle or something. Right, guys, there's really no rules to when it comes to learn how to code, but I think that's the best strategy, and the best way to approach learning how to code is with this strategy of, small projects, slowly building up and taking your time, really taking your time to complete the entire process, right? So obviously, if you're in school, this might take a little longer to become a software engineer, right? If you're just starting college, you're probably not going to, it's probably going to take a couple of years, however, though, in the meantime, definitely take advantage of internships, definitely take advantage of doing side projects regardless, doing work outside of your schoolwork, always a huge positive. It's definitely tough, right? Because you're in school and that's the last thing you want to do. But if you can, it puts you in a great spot. You're at a great advantage. Definitely, guys, I can't stress this enough. If you're in college right now or university, wherever in the world it may be, really do try to find some internships. For myself, that was my time in school where I learned how to code. When I really learned how to code and I applied, the concepts I learned in class, I was solving problems on my own in the workplace, and I was really, applying these different strategies. And, I got way better. I got way more confident, and I think internships are the best way to go if you're, in school right now. Now, if you're self-taught, there's a lot more questions. There's a lot more variables. Who knows really how long it takes, right? If you're self-taught, you could understand really quick. It could just come to you naturally within a month. You're good. You're a software developer. You're applying to jobs. It could take you 5 years to understand, right? But one of the most important things to understand when you're being self-taught is that everyone goes at their own pace. And I think if you set yourself a deadline of, let's say, 1 year, exactly like the other two scenarios, 6 to 12 months to get a job. If you set yourself a deadline and you really make a plan and you stick to it, you get down to the week. What are you going to be doing every single week? What are you going to be learning? What are you going to be working on? I think within a year, you'll be good. I genuinely think that if you commit yourself to 1 year and you really make a plan and you stick to the plan, then you could be in a spot to get a job or to start interviewing within a year, even if you're self-taught. No joke. The most important part is staying committed, right? Is staying consistent. If you can do that, then you can do anything really. So it's no different with coding, guys. And what I would do, I'd start with some side projects, maybe do a couple of tutorials and be like, hey, I'm going to do one project a week. I'm going to do a simple project. It's going to take me a week. I'm going to complete it and then move on the next week. And then as my project get more complex, I'll be like, hey, okay, I'm going to do one a month. And then before you know it, it's exactly like the other strategies. You're going to have some side projects. You're going to be in a really good spot. Now, one thing we have to talk about before, we end off is obviously the difference between being able to code, right? Between learning, taking tutorials, building side projects. And then when you're in this spot, okay, I think I can get a job. You don't just start interviewing, right? Yeah, there's a whole different skill set when it comes to preparing for interviews and successfully completing technical interviews. You do have to factor that in as well, guys. You can't forget about that, especially if you're self-taught. This is something you have to practice outside of just coding, right? In real life, you're never going to be sorting a binary search tree, but it could be something you get asked on an interview. So it's a whole different ball game, all these technical interviews, and you definitely should take some time, a week or two, maybe 3, a month, whatever you think it is, to practice for technical interviews, because if you don't at all, you're going to fail them, and it's not going to be a good look, right? So like I said, guys, set aside time, plan every single day, every week, get as specific as you can. This applies especially if you're self-taught. If you're teaching yourself how to code, you need to make yourself a serious plan and you need to stick to it, because otherwise you're just going to flop, and a year down the line, you're still not going to learn how to code. You're not going to know anything. So you really have to make a plan, guys. That's what I have found personally to be the best strategy. And obviously you will have setbacks, right? You're going to fail sometimes, but the most important thing is that you don't let it affect you. You don't stop taking risks just because you failed once. You don't give up just because you failed, right? You get back and you keep going and you continue, and then you get better. If you embrace failure, if you accept it and you don't avoid it, then you'll only get stronger every time you fail. And that's all you can really ask for, right? Finally, everyone says this, so true. Just don't compare yourself to others. Whether you're in school, if you're in a boot camp, if you're teaching yourself and you see other people are learning how to code, that are going faster than you, you're getting discouraged because you think, you're not good enough. The only person you compare yourself to is you from the past, you from yesterday. Are you doing any better? If so, then you're on the right track. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you're starting off how to code, all you have to do is stay consistent, guys. It's not that hard. There's so many people around the world that are learning it right now, and there's so many resources available online. There's no reason why you can't succeed, and I'm here to support you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment down below if there's anything you think I missed or anything you disagree with. And if you really like it, feel free to subscribe too. Take it easy, guys.